Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I'm your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Taurus in October 2018. Hi, Taurus. How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Shuffled off camera to save time, so there's your main spread. Going to shuffle now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all cards are out and lying face up, that's when the reading will begin. You'll see a timestamp in the box below for when that time actually occurs, if you choose to skip ahead. There's information down there also if you want to get a personal reading with me. There's all types that you can get: love, family, money, career, or just, general overall, what's going on in my life, Jay? I can do that for you as well. And you just follow the steps and I will be happy to work with you if you want to work with me. Like I said, shuffle now for your overall outcome. And the bottom of the deck will act as your overall energy, okay? Taurus, outcome please for October 2018. Taurus, outcome. There it is. Which way for Taurus, please? Please show me. Which way? This way. Thank you. Bottom of the deck is the overall energy. Right, let's go ahead and flip the rest of your cards and see what's shaking. What's shaking, bacon? I said it. I did it. I feel sorry for doing it, but, I'm not original. Ooh, lots of swords. Alright, let's get these guys a little straight. Now we looking on the screen there. Looks pretty good. Pretty good. Alright. Where's Taurus in October 2018, please? Please show me where Taurus is in October 2018. Thank you. Alright, Taurus, coming into October 2018, you come in as the Four of Wands in reverse. I'll show this card to you upright because not a lot of people use it on YouTube. Just so you can become familiar with what it looks like. But like I said, it is in reverse. So, Four of Wands, card of stability, card of happy home. Well, not happy homes, but a foundational home. A home, that you call... It's like your base. It's strong, it's sturdy, it's dependable, it's reliable, it's a constant in your life. A constant in your life. But in reverse, not so much. So some of you might be experiencing a sort of restructuring of your home life or your base. So some of you, this could be literally to your physical home. You're having sort of a revamping or certain construction or expansion on your home, or you've got plumbing issues, so you're taking up the walls and the flooring and all that kind of stuff. Others of you, this is more like God, I can't think of the word. Why can't help me? What's the word? Figurative. Thank you. For some of you, this is more of a figurative upheaval or a figurative restructuring to your home. So for some of you, this is about destabilization, because when it is in the upright, it means that it's stable, it's sturdy, it's dependable. And when it's in the reverse, it's less stable, less dependable, less sturdy, right? So for some of you, this could involve moving of pieces or moving of people. There's a restructuring going on. So some of you, it could be you've got adult children and they're moving back into the home after, they're finished college, or they've, run into some bad luck and they lost their job and they have nowhere else to go. So some of you are having to change the dynamics of your household. Others of you, this is about an actual dissolvement of a relationship or the dissolvement of a family dynamic. So that could mean divorce. In some cases, it means someone is leaving for other reasons. You can fill in the blank of what I might mean with that. I don't want to really say. And it's just like topsy-turvy. Now, I've said all of this kind of very matter-of-factly, Taurus, so I feel like a lot of you have seen this coming. Like, this has been down the pipe for you guys. You have known this was going to happen. You've been preparing for it. You've been preparing for this upheaval. You've been preparing for this, I can't think of that word either, but this, I'm getting revamp. of your actual physical home. And so it's not a surprising energy. This is where you are. It's on your mind. It's where you're focused. It's definitely consumed a lot of your energy and a lot of your attention. And for some, despite it not being a surprise and you're prepared, you're still upset about it. You're still mourning that loss. You're still mourning or apprehensive or feeling anxious about these changes. A lot of you are feeling, like I said, it's taking up a lot of your time and your energy. So a lot of you, for those where it's really about your physical home, like the structure of the actual building, it's very stressful for you. You can't sleep well because you've got a hole in your dining room wall, or you know what I mean? And it just bugs you that your house is in a disarray. It bugs you. So no matter if it's about a physical home or more the figurative, the actual restructuring of the people who live in your home and what the dynamics are, there could be arguments going on in some cases. And you're just like, oh God, this is like too much for me, or it makes you sad. A lot of you, it makes you anxious. A lot of you, it frustrates you. I'm not feeling anger. So I'm not going to say that. It doesn't make many of you angry. Maybe a few of you. But I feel it's more sad or anxious or frustration. It's not pure anger. It's not rage. Which is, I think, different than your September reading and maybe even your August reading. I feel, Taurus, your energy was for a long time like pent up and very reactionary or very like, I can't take this anymore. Now it's kind of, I feel like there's a calmness, like there's a coming down feeling. Calming down feeling, maybe. Okay? And where are we going next? Because we could go here, but I think here? Which way? I mean, they're like, yeah, either way. And I'm like, well, tell me. All right, thank you. Let's go here. Thank you. I'm like, come on, guys. Let's work together here. You tell me where to go, and I say the things. And right beneath your starting position in the Four of Wands, Taurus, you have the Page of Swords. So, Page of Swords could be an air sign, a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius person, but it doesn't have to be. And given that it is a page, it could be a younger person, someone more youthful. Not necessarily younger than you, but they have a youthful spirit, or they have, in some cases, a lack of maturity, or a lack of greater insight and greater worldview, so to speak, or greater, more expansive perspective. But regardless, I do feel this would be a person, so it could be that child of yours, the adult child who has to move back in, or it could be your relationship partner, it could be someone that you're dealing with in terms of doing the actual work on your home. This could be the contractor, this could be the plumber, I don't know. But this person is, as you can see, they're studying in a way, or they're learning something in a way. They're developing, basically. This page is definitely a page. This person is developing. They're not as structured. They're not as firm in their footing as they might pretend to be, or that others might perceive them to be, or that their position in life might make other people believe. So what do I mean? This person could have a certain job, like a plumber, or whatever. And you think, okay, if you're a plumber, if you're in the trades, you know your stuff. You know the ins and outs of it. But this person, due to age, due to ability, due to whatever, doesn't know as much as you might think they know. So this plumber or whoever that you're dealing with, who's doing work on your home or helping you repair things around your home, you felt you could trust this person, Taurus. You felt that you had a clear understanding of who this person was. But no, they are not as developed as you thought they were. So on paper, and ironically, the paper that this person is writing on themselves, it seemed like a good deal. Oh, this person comes with great reviews from, you know, what's that thing called? I can't think of it. I can't think of much today. I can't think of Angie's List, there you go. That thing. Where, you know, you go on Angie's List or Yelp or something like that, or even word of mouth. You had this idea that this person knew what they were going to do when they said, all right, we're going to tear up the floor in your bathroom. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, blah, 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 blah. And then as the project continues, there's like little hiccups along the way. There's like all these little red flags that come up and you're like, but you said it would be this. And they're like, oh, well, come to find out, it's actually this. And they're rewriting, right? They wrote the original estimate, and then they go back and they're like, oh, well, we didn't know this would happen, so let me go back and change the estimate, and now it's going to be this much more money, which is totally destabilizing to your baseline, Taurus. It totally messes everything up. Like, what do you mean it's more money? What do you mean it's going to take this much longer to do X, Y, Z? It's just like messed you up completely. I'm sorry to be very specific about the house fitting or the house revamp or whatever, but that's kind of where I'm led. We're going to get to other stuff too, because this is more than just about a person who's a dodgy plumber, okay? And so the line keeps getting moved with this person. The deadline or the project completion date keeps going further and further out, closer towards winter than you want it to be. You're like, oh my God, the weather is changing. I would like the holes in my house to be patched up before winter time. Is that possible? Oh, yeah, I got you. It's cool. And that's the thing about this person. They talk a bigger game than what they write checks they can't cash. Or you know what? You know how that saying goes. They write checks that their butt can't cash. Okay? They talk a bigger game than what they actually are able to bring to the table, Taurus. And for some of you, this is someone who's brand new to your life. Like in that situation, you've just met them, you asked them to do, or you took them on to do work on your home or something like that. Others of you, this is your kid, they're coming back and they were doing this elsewhere, external to you, external to the situation between you. So they went and they worked for a company or they took on a job and they were, you know, kind of buffing up their resume, making themselves seem more accomplished or seem more fluent in a language, or they overestimated themselves. And it turned out they couldn't deliver. And so they have to come home with their tail between their legs and curl up in their old bunk bed because that's all that was left in the bedroom. You know, your 35-year-old son is now sleeping on his bunk bed. C'est la vie, right? For others of you, this is a partner, this is a romantic partner or a business partner, but I'm feeling this more as a romantic partner, and this person, sorry to say, they are not the dreamboat you thought they were. They are more immature than you ever could have imagined. Like, what's being drawn to, or what's being called out to me is this top hat, right? It's not matched with the outfit. It's just a blazer, or not a blazer, it's just a shirt. I almost called it a blouse, I'm sorry, it's not a blouse. But it's just a shirt, maybe an ascot or some type of, just this really formalized, very regal looking hat doesn't fit with someone who's just wearing a shirt. Like Abe Lincoln, I'm sure he did at times, but every time people saw him in that top hat, practically, he was probably wearing like his full suit. He probably took the hat off before he took off his jacket. I know that's very specific and kind of weird, but that's kind of what it is. It's like part of this person seemed to be grander, more refined, more mature, more accomplished than they really were. And you're looking at this person, you're like, that's who you really are? Like, that's how you really are? This is how you really talk? This is how you really act? This is how you really think? And you're like, damn. Disappointed. There's an old meme of Kevin Sorbo, aka Hercules, from like that 90s show on the WB, I think it was at the time. Anyway, there's just a meme of him screaming, "Disappointed!" And that was not a line in the script. It was like a a sideline or whatever, and he screamed it, and he wasn't supposed to scream it, but it was put in the show. Anyway, that's sort of how you feel. You're like looking at the person, and you're just like, I'm so disappointed. I'm just like, who are you? What are you doing here? And again, it's because for lack of your own discernment, Taurus, they wrote you a resume, a relationship resume. I'm this type of person. I'm this type of lover. This is how I treat my girlfriends. This is how I treat my boyfriends. And this is how I treat a wife. And this is how I treat a husband. And this is how I'm going to be as a wife or a husband. And it was a long list that you read into this person's character sheet, into this person's, you know, relationship resume. And you're like, oh my God, look, you are overqualified for this position to be my partner. You're hired, you know, and then, you know, you didn't do the background check, or, you know, they got certain people to vouch for them and you're believing their references. They're like, oh, tell me about so-and-so. Would they make a great partner? And this person, who is like a good friend of them, isn't going to sell them down the river, was like, oh yeah, this person is great for you, Taurus. You should totally be with them. And you're like, all right, you're hired into my life. You're hired into my heart. And you went for as long as you went with this relationship, a few months, a few years, whatever. And then you're looking at them right now and you're like, oh my God, you're a top hat and a shirt type of man. You're a top hat and a shirt type of woman. You are not as refined and amazing as I thought you were. You are just a page of swords. Not reliable. Falls right underneath your spot of reliability. And who is there? The page of swords. So, lesson learned, hopefully, for you guys. This is, and for this section where it's your child or your partner, romantic partner, wife, husband, whatever. For this segment of people, this is not new. I'm not breaking your heart. I'm not giving you anything you don't know. For those where it's the plumber and you're just getting to know this person and they're kind of revealing this, that is more of a surprise to you, or that's more of a recent revelation. For the others, you know this about your kid. You know this about your husband or your wife or whoever. I'm not shocking you here with this information. Now, boy, let me see. Yes. Yes. What? I love it when I'm like, what's here? The past. What's here? Their transition and the future. I'm like, anyway, little conversations I have with these guides in my head. Anyway, so I don't do it specifically, and I did it, I said this for someone in September. I don't even remember what sign it was, but I don't do the whole past, present, future usually in my readings. If it comes that way, it comes that way, and I'll read it this way. Yours is that way, but it's in reverse. So that might be significant for some of you. Like, maybe some of you are, like, in Japan, and, like, this is the past, present, future kind of situation. Because, obviously, in Japan and other cultures, they will read from right to left. But in Western society, we usually read from left to right. But, anyway, yours is going right to left. And so, this whole destabilization, things aren't working out the way you want them to. You've got this douchebag showing up, showing their true colors, and you're like, ew, that's who you are? Ugh, jeez. And what's next for you, or where you're probably sitting, rather where you're swinging into, like not quick, but there's a definite progressive motion into this space, given the time period of this reading. You've got the World and you've got the Nine of Pentacles. Where are we going first? World. Okay, thank you. Easy. I like when they say it like that. World. Very easily. All right. So, Taurus, next card you have is the World card. So, for some of you, you're traveling. You are abroad, or you will be going abroad, I should say, or you've been abroad, or something like that, where you've been moving. And again, with this coming right next to your upside down home life, that could be it. So it could be, this could have been a move for some of you, or you sold a house or you bought a house or something like that, and you're just not settled, but you're settling on a place come October. And so now you're getting settled. And that's interesting. I didn't read it that way before. And I've had this card in previous readings that I did months ago, but I'm feeling like this is a bride situation. So some of you, this could be a newlywed thing where you haven't really settled together in your first home, and your partner is turning out to be a page of swords, not a knight of swords, or excuse me, not a king or a queen of swords, but you're like, oh, you're just a page. Oh, damn. But we're married now, so what can I do? And the reason I say that is because slightly, Focus. Come on. Do it. Oh, she doesn't want to do it. There we go. The figure on that globe sort of looks like a bride. Sort of, in my opinion. Just a little bit. So for some of you, this could be, you know, you're freshly married. And, you know, now you're kind of like, oh, damn, what did I get myself into? But underlying for all of this is sort of like this idea of travel, or this idea of motion and movement. And with the world card, Taurus, world card is associated with the fixed sign. So that's you, that's Leo, that is Aquarius. And who's the other one? It always slips my mind. Is it? Who did I say? Scorpio. I always skip over Scorpio. I don't know why. Sorry, Scorpio, if you're watching. And fixed energy is about finding that space in life, that road in your life, that role in your life, and really finessing it, really refining it, really getting clear and concise on who you are, what the situation is, who's involved, and fulfilling those duties, right? Fixed signs love that stuff. Love it. I am a teacher. I'm going to be da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Blah, 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 blah. It's just like, like I said, sort of like reading a resume and kind of like, or reading credentials or whatever, and kind of expecting, based on what you know of the situation, based on what you know of the person, it's gotta be this way. So I think I'm feeling for you, since this is where you're beginning, you're moving into this space for yourself, okay? You are becoming clearer, more defined in who you are, where you are, what you want, who you want to be with, who you don't want to be with, things like that. Like there's this understanding that you're getting when you pass into this world energy, Taurus. You're like you're becoming better aligned with yourself. New understanding about yourself, new understanding about the situation or the other people involved, and you are getting a plan of attack, so to speak, a plan of attack. But that comes with change. So there's sort of this irony. Like, I wish I could describe it. Help me. It's like you'll realize you're in this world energy. Like if you quantified it, or if you thought of it like sort of like as a status bar, like for those who are old enough to remember, or you still see it, but you don't see it in the way that I'm going to describe it. But interacting with computers or like going online and stuff like that, like for those who can remember like a dial-up situation, you know, your phone makes that horrible dial-up sound and you've got mail. Before that, there's that status bar across the screen that showed you how close you were to actually getting online and being open to the World Wide Web, right? And or if you were downloading a song on Napster or LimeWire or some crazy stuff like that, status bars were a thing in the 90s and the early 2000s, right? And this world energy, I'm feeling, will hit you, will become apparent to you when you get to about the 60, 70, maybe even the 80% point in the status bar. So again, it's in this transition period. It's not at the beginning of the transition. You're not going to feel it. You're not going to recognize it. You're not going to have that clarity and that vision of who you are and what you want and all that good stuff. It's not going to come to you in the beginning. It's not going to come to you when you're in the 30, 40, 50. Not coming to you. You just don't see it. You can't recognize. You can't feel it. Get to the 70. You're like, it starts to take shape. I'm Taurus and I am this. Cool. Get to 70%, or excuse me, 75%. This is the other person I'm dealing with. Their name is so-and-so, and they are like this. Okay. get to 85%. Oh, and this is the situation that we're involved in. And da-da-da-da-da. And as it gets closer to that completion point, that 100%, that's when you'll be fully engaged in the world card, and you will know what's about to come before you. And I'm glad they made me use that, because in those days where you would dial up to the internet, you weren't always connected with it, right? You didn't really know what would happen. You sign on, maybe you don't have mail. Maybe you're not going to hear that guy. You've got mail. Maybe when you go and check your email, you're going to have 50 emails, or maybe you'll have 10. You don't know. So there's this idea of possibility. I think now in modern technology, a little bit of a sidebar here, with smartphones everywhere and tablets and laptops everywhere, it's kind of like never a surprise. You know, when you sign on to Facebook, you're going to see probably this many messages, or you're expecting when you wake up in the morning to see something on your news feed, things like this. It's not as unpredictable anymore, going online or being attached, or being attached, being connected to the internet. In the 90s and earlier and all that stuff, you don't know. And I think that's kind of what it is. You hit that completion point in the status bar, and you're like, maybe I'll have mail. What news will I see? You don't know. Am I going to get an IM, an instant message for those who don't know? Am I going to get an IM from so-and-so today? This person I've been talking to from a chat room? God, I'm going back. You know, you didn't know. And so I think that's sort of what's going on. You're gaining this new perspective, this sort of broader perspective, or more enlightened. The more information you get, Taurus, involving this person, involving your home situation, or I keep saying revamp, and that's not the word, but the revamp on your home, or when your kid comes back. And maybe that's what happened. If your kid comes home and he says, Mom, Dad, I have to move back into the house, would that be okay? And you're like, geez, okay, fine. And you let him sleep in the bunk bed or sleep in the basement or whatever. And for a few weeks' time, maybe from your perspective, your kid's just being a lazy bum. They're in the room most of the day. You're off at work. You come home, they're still in the bedroom. And you're like, oh my God, did you get up today? Did you do anything? And it doesn't look like they've done anything. And the more that goes on, you're just frustrated. And you're like, what's going on with you? And then maybe you finally, you know, a little bit up the status bar. Let's say you get to 75%. You sit down with your kid and you ask them, what's going on, man? You know, what happened at the job? Tell me why you lost your job. Or maybe they had a loss in their family dynamic. Maybe they're getting a divorce. Maybe they got kicked out of their house. Whatever. And you're like, what's going on with the relationship? What's going on with your wife? What's going on with your husband? Tell me. And they tell you. Status bar moves up. And you get this greater understanding of what's going on in their lives. What's going on and plaguing them. They're depressed. They may have had a diagnosis in some cases. I'm not feeling this, I'm just really spitballing here, but some of them may have had a medical diagnosis and it just really wrecked their lives. Or maybe some of them incurred so much debt that they lost their home, or their partner discovered this about them and got kicked out. Whatever. It's very detailed to your situation and the people that you deal with, so you know better than I do. But the more that you understand the specifics and the details of what's going on with you, what's going on with the other person, what's going on with that person over there, what's going on with the situation and the circumstances between all of you, and then the more you know, the more you're going to get into this feeling of, well, I got a plan. I've got a new insight. I've got a new vision. And I'm going to progress. I, Taurus, am going to progress. And I'm going to make things happen. I feel that there's this feeling of I'm going to make things happen. And I'm going to tap into a certain resource that I've not tapped into before. That I've not even really recognized or even really... It's like a part of yourself or an actual resource that you've never touched. That you've never even imagined you'd have to use, but you're going to do it. 9 of Pentacles. So, this talk of resources, right? 9 of Pentacles. So, Pentacles related to earth signs. So, this is definitely in your wheelhouse. could talk about money, actual physical possessions. So money, stocks and bonds, Roth IRAs, 401ks, however you have your money, wherever you have your money and your investments and your collateral and all that good stuff. I also can talk about your physical possessions. So again, your home, your car, your collection of baseball cards. I don't care what it is. And it's being really aware of and enveloped by it. Like, as you can see, this card shows the figure like in a, what would you call that? Not a vineyard, but I guess for lack of a better word, because I can't think of one right now, like a vineyard or a field surrounded by these pentacle-like objects. So it's really diving deep up to the chest in whatever your resources are. So some of you, given this situation with your house and the shady plumber, and as you get more information, you're going to have to get into your savings. You're going to have to dip into, you know, some of you might need to, you know, refinance your mortgages or get a new mortgage, whatever, because you're going to have to really go up to the neck almost in money. In other ways, this is about self-sufficiency. So for some of you where you're leaving the home or you're getting a divorce or whatever, you're going to have to become more reliant on yourself. You're going to have to count your beans and forget about the beans of your soon-to-be ex-husband or ex-wife or whoever. Like, well, here are all my beans. I've separated yours. You can, you know, you're like, here are your beans. These are mine, is kind of what I'm feeling for some of you. Others of you, this is about tapping into your pocketbook, tapping into your checking account for that kid of yours, your adult child who's fallen down on their luck and really needs a helping hand, really needs a boost. So you're going to be writing them a check. You're going to be transferring them a certain amount of money to help stabilize their lives, get them back out there into the world. Okay, so that's your transitional period. This present energy. So you're having that conversation soon if you haven't had it already. You will be having this enlightenment or this understanding about what you're going to do once you discover how much debt your partner has and how you're going to be like, well, those are your beans, these are my beans. You know what I mean? All of that, it will be happening soon if it hasn't happened already. On the other side, which one? Thank you. And it's painful. I've said everything pretty much cavalierly. Is that a word? In a cavalier tone to you. Because again, I don't think I'm rocking any boats here with this message today for you, Taurus. I think you're quite aware that this is not easy. It's been difficult for you. It's been difficult for your kid. It's been difficult for your partner. It's been difficult all around. And this Ten of Swords, I'll show you. Typically in the Rider-Waite deck, the most traditional tarot deck there is, this is a card where you see the person, they're lying on their stomach or face down, and they've got the 10 swords in their back, and it's like a bloody scene. It's horrible. It looks like a massacre of one person, and it's really over the top. Oftentimes when that card appears, you're going to see readers say, oh, this is like the dawning of a new day. As painful as it is, as stressful as it is, as hurtful as it's been, it's not going to get any worse. It cannot get worse. And I kind of feel that's really what's going on here. It can't get any worse. Because the beauty of this card is pretty apparent. You've got this sort of butterfly figure with the skulls attached, and you've got this sort of cityscape full of what might be considered swords or sharp objects there. There it goes, thank you. But it's all surrounded by flowers and the butterfly, and it's just very pretty. Like, as much as the Ten of Swords is associated with pain and hurt and stress and anguish, this card is very pretty, okay? So, for you, Taurus, there's a beauty in the pain. I hate to be so cliche or poetic. Ugh. My mouth feels like, ugh, like greasy saying that. Ugh. And maybe that's your reaction to hearing that, or as you get into that feeling for yourself, or that understanding for yourself. You might be like, oh God, to yourself, like, oh, did I really just say that? Did I really just think that? That's kind of what this feels like. It's like there's beauty in the pain of what you've experienced. And I think it's because despite whatever loss you get to with the home, you're dealing with a shiesty person or a person who wasn't above board, and that's painful, that costs you money, but there's pain in that because, or excuse me, there's beauty in that because you're going to be wiser. Maybe this was your first home, maybe your first time homeowner, or maybe you've owned a home for 30 years and you've never had problems until this guy came along and ripped up your bathroom floor, and now you're out, $5,000, $10,000, whatever. There's beauty in that pain, in that, well, I've been in this home for 30 years. This is my first big cost to the house. And as much as it's going to suck to lose that much money all at once, I have to appreciate that I never lost my home. Like maybe you're 60 years old, 70 years old, something like that. And a lot of your friends that they've had to fold out on their house. They lost their homes. They've lost their jobs. You were able to, even though it sucks, again, to lose that much money and deal with people who were kind of really shady and they were not honest with you, you didn't suffer as much as others. So there's that kind of sort of appreciation that you can take. If it's your first time owning a home and this person has done this to you, or you're dealing with someone who's not the greatest business person or the most honest, now going forward. Don't trust Angie's List. Don't look at Yelp reviews. Really take your time and really study or really, have better discernment going forward. If this is about your marriage, it might suck to lose a partner and lose a long time marriage and whatever, but maybe there will still be things that you guys can stay connected on. Maybe you have kids, so you're not always it's not the total loss of a relationship. Or it could be you lose the relationship, but you still have your kids. Your kids bring you so much joy. You love your children. Yeah, you love spending time with them, and their other parent helped create that child, or excuse me, or helped raise that child. So, like I said, there's beauty in the pain. Whatever you're losing, whatever is hurting you, I hate to say it, there is a silver lining there. I don't really know what it is. I'm really giving you very surface, almost cliched things to be looking for the silver lining in. Hopefully you know what it is, or you know where that silver lining might be, and I want you to focus on that. Like, I feel like this is like the only, this and this are probably like your most curveball cards. And again, they're swords, so they can be difficult because swords is about your mental capacity, how you think, how you can reason in situations. And a lot of times, your mind can play tricks on you. Your mind can trap you if you think about things all the time, if you ruminate so much, if you argue all the time. It can really ruin a part of your life or a period in your life. I would say be cautious and try not to do that. Try not to think so much. Try not to argue. Try not to communicate in ways that don't come away where people have mutual understanding and mutual respect. Avoid those situations, okay? And right above that, you've got the Seven of Wands in reverse. I'll show it to you upright so you become familiar with the card. And for those who were curious, and I'm not sure if I said it earlier, this is the Sante Morte deck by, what's his name, Fabio Listrani. Seven of Wands upright, but it's in reverse. And the Seven of Wands, traditionally, and it's not showing it here, is a card of conflict in the Rider-Waite deck. It's a card of having to defend oneself against others who have an opinion or have some kind of, dog in the race, so to speak, and or some people who just want to be confrontational with you. And here I feel this is less of external confrontation. I feel it's more of like a inner confrontation, an inner struggle. And being in reverse, that means that you would be letting that go. which is hard to do given that you're a fixed sign, as I spoke about here with the world sign, or with the world card, where you have a certain idea of who you are, Taurus, or what your role is in a certain situation, and you want to adhere to that role. You want to adhere to that image of yourself. And here, it's about revamping that image. There we go with the word revamp again. It's about changing that image of yourself. It's about changing that idea that you have to be a certain way, or a situation has to be a certain way, or another person has to be a certain way. So for those of you where this is your kid, you thought your kid had to be a certain way. You're 35 years old, you're 40 years old, whatever. You can be a man on your own, you can be a woman on your own, you don't need me. Because that's what you think of an adult child. That's what your previous perspective was. But you come over here, and even though it's painful to admit it, that person is still your child, even though they're 40 years old. And then you kind of have to readjust yourself and readjust what you expect out of the situation. If this is the plumber, you're supposed to be this. Maybe this person made an honest mistake. You know, maybe they have been shady, but maybe it was an honest mistake. And so you have to, even though this person in your eyes is a professional in the trades, in the trade of plumbing, in the trade of electricity or electrician work, whatever, you expect a certain thing from a person. Often, Taurus, not just you, but all the fixed signs, might have certain expectations about people or yourself or both. And when those expectations aren't met, it then involves this transition of having to change that perspective. And like I said, this Seven of Wands feels like a letting go of previous expectations, letting go of certain previous ideals, not being open, but just accepting that someone disappointed you. Doesn't mean they meant to hurt you. Doesn't mean they meant anything malicious towards you. Your hurt is a byproduct of the situation. There is beauty in the pain. You've made a beautiful child together. You raised a beautiful child together. You owned a beautiful home together that you had and you shared together for 20 years, whatever. Letting go of this previous image of, for lack of a better word, perfection or ideal perfection. What you thought would be the outcome is not the outcome. And I think you're letting it go. Because if you had this up like that, if that was upright, that means you would be holding on to this pain. When it's like this, you're letting go of this pain. You're letting go of that disappointment. You're letting go of that frustration. And you're letting it be. Just let it be. Right? Yes. I think that's what's going on there. Now, your outcome for October. Three of Cups reversed. Show you upright so you can become familiar. Focus. Focus. No. There you go. Now I know. I just have to be patient. Hard to be patient anyway. So that's what it looks like upright. But here it is in reverse. That's what you got. So, for some of you, Tauruses, this is the dissolvement of a third-party situation. And I hope if you're a regular viewer of my channels, you know how seldomly I will run right into third-party situation. I don't do that. I don't like that. But this is straight up. 3 people on the card. Looks a little bit like a Don Juan and his 2 lovers or whatever. So some of you, this is an actual end to a third-party situation. This is an end to this feeling of, I feel you had a certain something with someone, a unity or a fidelity with someone, and someone else came in and scrambled that all up. It just ran straight up interference in that relationship. You could have been the interference. It doesn't mean that you're here with the original pair, so to speak, and then some third party ruined your life. You could have been the third party, Taurus. So be honest with yourself. If you're the third party, you're stepping out of that situation, or that situation is no longer viable to you, whatever. But for those where this is not a third party, this 3 of Cups, I feel could be a situation where 3 people are involved, but nobody's happy. So not in a third-party situation that we might typically think of as an affair or a cheating situation. This would be a third-party situation, as in 3 people are constant in this situation and nobody's happy, or 3 people are stressed, 3 people are frustrated or sad about something. So again, that could be the whole, one of your kids has to move back in, and you and your husband or you and your wife are like, well, I guess Danny's gonna be here for the foreseeable. And you guys were like, oh man, we're about to retire, or we just retired and we're gonna do this in the house. We'll be able to walk around naked and do whatever. And it's like, no, my 40-year-old son just moved back into the house and I am sleeping in my clothes. That's not cool. You were looking forward to romping around your house naked with your wife or your husband. Sorry. That's not happening. In other cases, this is really just about, it could be that situation where a marriage or a relationship is ending, but the 3 people who remain are you, your partner, and the child that you have together. And that's going to really be just a hard pill to swallow for all 3 of you. It's going to be a hard situation to really acclimate to and really, you know, find footing and find that happy spot again. So it's kind of like up and down, the situation. Whatever you're dealing with. Your home, divorce, a kid moving back in, whatever. It's hard. It's not easy. There's no quick fix solution here. But I think what's happening for you, Taurus, is like you're gaining this understanding that you've never had before. You're coming out with different, if not better, just different clarity, different perspective, different understanding. And I think it's very different than what I was saying for Aries, because I just did their reading. Like, they were very resistant to this idea of a different or more enhanced perspective. You're more open to it. It's gonna hurt, it's gonna sting, it's gonna involve tears, it's gonna involve, you know, balled up fists of, I don't like this. But you will be more receptive to it, for lack of a better word. You're going to be more receptive to it. Aries was just like, I don't want to hear that. You're more like, okay, I hear it. Okay. You know, like I said, hard pill to swallow, bitter pills to swallow. Overall energy for the month of October, Knight of Swords. So another air sign individual, potentially. Another Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or the same person who would be a step up from the page. Obviously, Knights are a step up from the page. But this person is still not as mature. So it could be the same person. It could be you're seeing changes in this person. Either they're leveling up to the Knight of Swords or they're leveling down to the Page of Swords. Either way. Or it's someone else. And again, don't think it has to be air signs. It doesn't have to be. This other person would be, excuse me, this person, they know more, they can do better, but I feel like they're not. Like, remember what I was saying about the page, how his top hat, you know, showed like regalness and refinement? Here's a guy in a uniform, on a horse, no top hat, because, I mean, he's busy shoving a sword down his throat, and he's on a horseback. He's definitely more refined, definitely more regal, definitely seems more mature, but it's kind of like, but not really. Like, okay, you're doing all that, but you got a sword down your throat. You're not... It's like, this person... similar to the page, is not all that they seem to be. There's something a little off about this person. And I also feel like they're not super involved in your story, in whatever you're dealing with, Taurus. I don't feel like they're a key player. I don't think like they're a main character here. I think that they're like in a B or a C storyline, like they're in the peripheral of this story, and if anything, they might be a distraction. If it's not the same person, this person would just be like some other drama or some other situation that you might have awareness of, that you might be dealing with. Um, And it could also be overall, because I'm really drawn to the sword down the throat aspect of this card. It could be that as an overall energy for October, you don't want to say too much, Taurus. You don't want to say too much. Because the more you say, the more you speak, things could just go a certain way. Things could go awry, or things that are meant a certain way could be taken out of context. So you might want to mind what you say or who you say it to. Could be that too. Don't tell everybody your business. Don't tell everybody, you know, every single detail. You know, give key people, important people, key details, and that's it. You know, so don't run off at the mouth, basically, is kind of what I'm feeling there as well, okay? All right, Taurus, that is your reading for October. I hope you liked it. I hope something resonated here with you. If it did, go ahead and drop a comment down below and subscribe to the channel. Also share the video. And if you don't want to do any of that, just a simple little click of the like button would also be amazing. Of course, you only do those things if you feel compelled to. If you don't feel compelled to, I'm totally okay with that as well. And I enjoy doing your reading. I look forward to coming back in about 4 weeks' time, and I do your November reading when that time occurs, at that moment, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching up until this point. Take care.